Thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. My name is Callie Ochanicki and I'm a Customer Success Associate here at YCharts. Hosting our webinar today is my colleague Rushi Shah, a sales engineer on our team. For today's topic, we're going to take a look at 3 steps to win new business using YCharts. Throughout the webinar, we'll have a live Q&A via chat where you can ask questions in the section to the lower right-hand corner of the screen. We will answer some of those questions at the end of Rushi's demonstration. Any questions that are not answered during the Q&A session will be answered by your support contact. Please keep in mind that the content of this webinar is meant for educational purposes only and is not intended to be used as investment advice, nor is YCharts acting as an advising party regarding client funds in any way. Finally, as always, a recording of the webinar will be made available on the website and sent to all attendees. Now I'm going to pass it off to Rushi to get us started.
Thanks, Callie, and thanks for everyone joining today. I actually see a lot of familiar faces on the attendee list, which is great, and definitely excited to be presenting to you today. The main reason is that whether you are brand new to YCharts or you've been a YCharts user for a while now, I think this webinar is going to be extremely beneficial for you. We're going to cover a lot of different tools from a high-level perspective to prep you for your own client meetings. Everyone uses YCharts a little differently to fit what your practice needs, but we hope that this webinar gives you a quick and great overview of a lot of our tools and gives you a few new ideas on how you can leverage them. So let's take a look at our agenda for today. We're going to start off by looking at ways that you can do your homework on the market. A lot of times in the morning you might need to know what's going on to get prepared for the day. Next, we're going to talk about how you can upload your client portfolios onto YCharts using our new Model Portfolios tool. And lastly, we're going to leverage the Excel add-in and build some, or I guess show you how to build some custom reports within YCharts and use some of our pre-made templates as well. So I want to start off with a typical day in a lot of our clients' practices. So, we've definitely spent a lot of time with our clients making sure that we understand the way their business works and how they're utilizing YCharts. A lot of people come to us and they say, here's a typical day in our day-to-day where step 1 is really studying the markets, getting an idea of what's going on, and having talking points ready for when someone comes into your doors. Step 2 is definitely not only knowing what the market is doing, but next knowing what your client's portfolio is doing, really understanding where their opportunities and where their risks lie, and being able to convey that message. What changes can potentially be made? You might not have seen this client for a few months, or this might be the first time you're being introduced to their portfolio, and you might have to look into what changes you can potentially make. And lastly, how do you deliver this message to a client or a prospect that you're trying to win over? I think a lot of times it might be easy for you to look at data and really study it, but for someone that might not know as much about the markets or might not know what a certain data point means, I think it's really important to give a clear and simple message to them, and YCharts is great for doing that as well. So I want to go ahead and jump right into the tool and show you how you can use some of these different ways to talk to your clients or prospects. I'm going to start off on our dashboard. Now this is my standalone dashboard that I like to use every day, but for this webinar I created a couple new ones which you can do as well. So when I come into if I'm just kind of playing the persona of someone that owns a practice and I come into the office in the morning, I quickly want to see what the markets are doing and where I need to position myself or have my conversations ready. So the dashboard is a great place to do this. Now this dashboard looks a little simple. It just has a few market indices charts on the right and the volatility index and your major indices towards the middle here. But what I'm going to do is add on a dashboard and show you, a watch list and show you how easy it is. So I'm just going to click on this create a new watch list. And since this is my market overview dashboard, I want to look at some economic data as well. So I'm going to just click on economic data here and type in major econ indicators. Now, I'm sure if you're familiar with YCharts, you know that all of our search tools are basically predictive search, right? So I'm going to start off by just typing in U.S. unemployment. And you're going to see that that search result will just show you, and you could just hit enter. Next, I'll just add U.S. GDP for this example. Now I have these two indicators. Maybe let's just add one more. And as you can see, as I typed 10-year Treasury and hit enter, these different indicators have been added. And I can just hit save watch list. Now you can see that that watch list was immediately added to my dashboard. It's really easy to navigate here. You can see all of them and open this up every morning and just have a quick idea of where all these major econ indicators are. You can also easily add indicators to this. So if I just click on options and click add economic data, lately something like Bitcoin has been in the news. I can just search Bitcoin and add in Bitcoin price, and it just quickly adds it to your watch list, and you can manage that by Xing out some of the ones that you might not need as well. All right, so now you have your dashboard. You've looked at your major market indices. You've looked at econ indicators. You know what the market's doing. Next step might be to kind of build some pictures. I think the best way to do that is our fundamental charting tool. So I'm going to hover over Tools and click on Fundamental Chart. A lot of our clients enjoy the fundamental charting tool because they're able to really visually see what the market is doing in so many different ways. One that I think is great that we've recently discovered within the charting tool is the 10-2 Treasury spread. Now you can see that a lot of things in the news have been surfaced around what yields are doing lately, and the fact that a lot of yields are decreasing and tightening spreads are occurring. As you can see in this chart, we're going back to about the around 1996, and you can see that we have the recession shaded in here, and it shows that those yields are really tightening, and that spread almost goes to zero right before a recessionary period. And we're kind of headed that way right now. Not saying that that's what's going to happen, but it is a story that you can tell, or a way that you can study yields pretty easily. Something else that you can do, and you could see that I just had this chart saved, and I can always open this one, but I'm just going to build another chart quickly. So I'm going to click on Reset All. And what you can do is just search for econ indicators similarly to the way we did on the dashboard. So I'm just going to search for, lately the tariffs have been in the news, so I'm going to go the US dollar to Mexican peso. And you can see I could just click on US dollar to Mexican peso exchange rate. Next, I probably want to look at the China exchange rate as well, because that's also been in the news. So I'm just going to add that too. All right, so I have my different exchange rates on here. Maybe I just want to see short term what's going on. Maybe 1 year is a little too long. So you could see at the top of the page, I could change the time frame and just click on like a 3-month chart. Now you can quickly see what's gone on already in the last few months here in both of these exchange rates. You can also separate them. So if I want to do panel per security here on the left, now I have the Mexican peso exchange rate at the top, and I can see what happened when there was an announcement about the tariffs, and when everything kind of cooled down in the last couple of days, it came back down. Or down under, you have like the Chinese exchange rate, where you could see how it's steadily been increasing. So definitely ways to tell a story here with the fundamental charting tool. Now that I have this chart, some other great things you can do is you could save this down. So I'm going to hit Save As and just save like tariff chart, for example. Now that I've saved it, I can open this every morning. I can add it to different things like the custom email reports. You can also export the chart. So in the top right, where you'll see it says export, if I click on this and click on download image, that's going to download a printer-friendly chart where I can either paste that into PowerPoint presentations or even just print it out. I can also view it from a presentation view too. So if I click on here, you can see that you can have your firm's logo in the bottom left. You can also add titles to the chart or add some notes as well. So a lot of things you can do to make this as visual as you'd like. So I think that would be enough to kind of start off and have your homework ready for that meeting. Next is you probably want to hone in on that specific prospect that's coming into your doors that you want to try and win. So I would probably want to go to our Model Portfolios tool, which is one of our newer tools and something that all of our users have really loved. We've gotten a lot of great feedback on it, and we continue to build it to be a great tool for everyone to use. So I'm going to start off by hovering over Tools and clicking on Model Portfolios. Now you can see I have a bunch of the model portfolios that I've built over time here, but it's really easy to create a new one. And I'll jump into that in a sec, and I could just do that by clicking on Create New. But I do want to note that the best way, in my opinion, to find a model portfolio is you can actually just search for it. So let's say I have this prospect whose name is John Smith in this example, and he's coming in today. So I can just search John Smith, and you'll see that all of his model portfolios are just shown right there in the search bar. So it's almost like you're searching for another stock or mutual fund, but you're searching for your model portfolios. Now I'm going to click into that first one, which looks like is this person's Roth IRA, for example. Now this is great because it's almost as if you're looking at a stock on YCharts. So here's like the quote page for any model portfolio that you create. So not only are you going to see a chart and some basic key stats here, but you're going to get a rundown of what your portfolio looks like. So you're going to get some asset allocation statistics on the right, the prospect's top holdings, maybe some risk statistics as well, and some other information here too. I also like the performance tab here at the top because you'll be able to compare and contrast that portfolio versus a benchmark or other model portfolios. So it's a great quick way to get some stats on where this portfolio is. Something new that we've added that I do want to note is a metric called drift. So a lot of times you'll have a portfolio that rebalances quarterly or annually, and when different metrics are moving, different securities in the portfolio are moving, that's going to drift away from your normal allocation. And we thought it'd be really valuable to add that as a metric. So you'll see this new metric here called holding drift. And you'll see that different holdings are going to move away from what they should be at, which is their target weight. That gives you a clear idea of where you might need to rebalance or where your allocations are kind of drifting away. Maybe you need to change your rebalance frequency or look at a couple other things that you can bring up to that prospect. Now that you've looked at the model portfolio, as I searched the person's name, I guess, this person has 3 different portfolios. Maybe you want to get a quick overview of all 3 portfolios and show this to the client. The best way to do that is to hover over Tools and click on Comp Tables. Now, what I can do is I can pull in all of these model portfolios. And now I have all 3 of them right next to each other. And I can also pull in a metric set. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the metric sets and click on Open Metric Set. I did create one here that's just called John Smith Returns. And so now you can quickly see, all right, here's where all 3 of these portfolios have performed in year to date, in 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years, and have all those numbers right in front of you. I guess it's a quick way to get those numbers, and even if you wanted to show this, you have those numbers ready. So now that you have these model portfolios, you've built them out, you know where they lie, maybe you want to make some changes in here. So I'm going to go back to that model portfolios page. And we have this Roth IRA one. Perhaps there's something in there that we want to change. That's where you can click on this pencil here and you can edit that model portfolio. So whenever you're creating a model portfolio or editing it, it's going to take you to this page. You can see there's a lot of things you can change here. You can change the name, the description. Perhaps you want to change the rebalance frequency, where the portfolio starts, and also that initial series level that the model portfolio is tracked on. But then you have your holdings down here. Perhaps you want to change out Apple, for example, for Microsoft. So if you click on Edit Items here, you could just simply search for Microsoft and hit Enter, and then hit Update, and it'll update your model portfolio. That could be a great story to tell to your prospect and say, hey, you know what, here's where your portfolio is, but I think maybe we can substitute some of these holdings to better allocate your portfolio. Now that you have done all of that, I think another great use case is, again, going back to our dashboard. So I have that market overview one, but I love making a different dashboard for a totally different use case. So I have this client portfolios dashboard, and I've created it because I want to look at all of these model portfolios together and just have that ready to go to view every single day. So now I can have each client and bucket them into a different dashboard and view them separate from each other. You can also look at the holdings and different overview stats for the model portfolios as well. It's another great use case and another tool that we've added. So now that I've kind of talked about model portfolios, I think that covers step 2, where you're really getting into the client's portfolio, understanding where they lie, and getting your pitch ready. The next step is something that a lot of our clients love, and that's our Excel add-in. It's really a way where you can customize the way you're using YCharts and pull in data into Excel and build custom reports. I do want to start off where most of our clients go to start with Excel. So I'm going to click on Excel. If you're a new user or you haven't used the add-in yet, I highly recommend it. It's great, and it takes only a few seconds to just download the add-in and add to your Excel. You do need to be a YCharts professional to use the add-in, so if you are interested in that and you don't have access, feel free to reach out to your support contact for that. But yeah, I do want to jump into where our users really go to at first. So we have a templates library here, which is going to be a lot of our pre-made templates. These are some of the most popular use cases that a lot of our clients will have. So I'm going to start off with some of the portfolio ones. Perhaps for this client in particular that we're talking about on the webinar, you want to show them a side-by-side of where their portfolio is versus something that you're pitching them. So the portfolio side-by-side comparison is great for that. I'm not going to go into the template. I just want to show you a quick preview of how that looks. You can see that it has one portfolio right next to the other. It's very visual. Breaks down a lot of the things that the model portfolios on the front end breaks down as well, and it's a great template to use. So I would definitely recommend going there. What I want to really focus on today and what you can do on your own as well is customizing these templates. Personally, I am on the Excel modeling team here, so I've had hundreds of conversations with our clients about how they want to customize their Excel reports. They love the fact that we will go into your templates and brand them any way you'd like, change any metrics the way you'd like, and really make it so that it fits with your practice and your pitch to your prospects. So I kind of made a sample template today to show you how this can potentially look. This is just a basic overview template of that same John Smith portfolio that we were looking at on the front end, but this is a use case that I've heard a lot of our clients want, and that's kind of giving a schedule or a fee breakdown to the client or the prospect to show them what they're looking at in the year ahead. So you'll see here I have the advisor fee in the top left. I also have some expected return, basically expectations. So you can think of the lower as like a worst case scenario or something that you're expecting on the lower end. You have an upper end and then also the middle, which would probably be your conservative viewpoint of where you can grow their portfolio. Next is just looking at an expected dividend growth, something that you can just kind of think about and see and what you would like to see in the investments that you're putting your clients into. So now that you've inputted those, you have your portfolio here and you have a dividend schedule. So what this is saying is last year Apple gave out 4 dividends, and based on this certain client holding 50 shares, they're expected to get this much of cash in this income portfolio back to them. So it's just a quick overview, a way to see where their cash flows lie within their portfolio in particular. I've had a few clients mention this as a good use case just to kind of spell out what they're looking at. But then I think the next cool thing is this returns and fee breakdown. So now that you've created that portfolio and you've kind of given them the dividend breakdown, you can really show them where your management fees and the fund expenses lie within that. So I have the initial portfolio values, those expected returns that you put in, and then really looking at where your management fee is going to affect them and the fact that they're still returning well above what your expectations are. Now, this is just a quick and simple spreadsheet that I created, but I think the real point here is the customization that I'm able to do. I'm able to really take my workflow or my process that I'm looking at when I'm trying to pitch a prospect and make numbers just make sense to the client that you're talking to. So I think that's something where our Excel add-in can really help your practice. So I guess just to kind of go back to what we have been talking about today, it's really about setting up your day of the meeting, right? Really prepping yourself to be ready to pitch that prospect and win that new business. So just to overview and recap on what we did, step 1, where you really wanted to study the markets and have your talking points ready, we went through the fundamental charting tool in the dashboard to make sure that you're able to get that quick overview, save some time, and just quickly know what the markets are doing. Next is having your clients' portfolios ready and knowing where their portfolios in particular lie. That's where we used our model portfolios tool and really dove deep into those model portfolios themselves. And lastly, how are you going to deliver that message? That's where we jumped into Excel to really drive home the point of here's where your portfolio lies, here's where I would like to take it, and giving that pitch to your client. You can see that we did jump into probably 6 or 7 of the tools on YCharts. There's a couple things we didn't cover. I know this was very much so an overview of a lot of tools, but I think it really shows how you can customize using YCharts to fit every single point of your practice to add the most value. So that's all I had for the content portion. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Callie to answer some questions that we got.
Thank you, Rushi, for giving us a closer look at how to win new business while also utilizing model portfolios, the dashboard, and the Excel add-in. Now, before we jump into the Q&A, I do want to mention again that a recording of this webinar will be made available in the support topics section of our site, just in case you need to review anything or share it with your colleagues. We appreciate everyone who submitted questions today. These are a few that I'm going to bring up for Rushi to answer. The first question we got in, where can we get the Excel template that you used during the webinar?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we could definitely send over this template to whoever you'd like. I guess the best process for that is you can reach out to your support contact, who would be your account manager, and tell them about this template that you'd like. And we're happy to customize it in any way that you would like for your practice.
Excellent. The second question, and now in regards to preparing for client meetings, do we have any presentation materials or tools that can also be used?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it would be beneficial to jump back into YCharts for this one. So we do have a few different things not only what we covered today on using your dashboard or using some other tools within model portfolios, but I think what's great is if I just jump into our fundamental charts, and I just want to reiterate the powerful presentation-friendly features that we have. So if I'm able to just type in a security here and click on presentation view, you're able to see that I can export this chart, throw it into any kind of presentation deck. If you have like a blog or somewhere where you're writing a newsletter, you can use these charts. You can definitely add titles and things of that nature as well. The next thing that I think might be a good idea to spend a minute or so on is something new that we've added. So if I hover over support and click on support topics, we've actually made an econ summary deck for you to use. So if you're a YCharts professional subscriber, you can actually get access to this econ deck. So I'm just going to click on that and let it download. But the basis of this econ deck is that we've thrown together a lot of different indicators and a lot of different use cases that people have asked for. And we're definitely going to update this every quarter so that you have some updated metrics. Now, once I get this open, I can just show you a few portions of it. You can see that we've jumped into different like market performances, different sector performances, and also asset classes too. So a lot of great information here. I definitely recommend checking it out.
Perfect, thank you. And then lastly, can drift be viewed historically on the platform?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess I didn't jump into that during the presentation, but if I just go back into that same model portfolio here, and I showed drift on the quote page, which is where you'll be able to see where your drift is currently. You can actually view it historically as well, and I think it tells a pretty cool story in the charting tool. So I'm going to click on fundamental chart. And this has my model portfolio and also the benchmark. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the benchmark. But what you can do is just browse. I'm just going to go to model portfolio specific and add that drift in here. So you can see over time where that drift goes and check it out compared to your portfolio.
Great, thank you, Rushi. And thank you all for attending today's webinar. We always appreciate any feedback you may have. If you have any questions in regards to model portfolios or visual tools seen, or you have an interest in gaining access to them, feel free to reach out to your YCharts contact.